Okay, I just briefly want to go over this Fieldpiece unit. I had a real head scratcher. I was working on this problem for weeks actually, and I really thought it was necessary to talk about sounds that this unit makes, the VP67, but I think all the Fieldpiece vacuum pumps, and maybe all the vacuum pumps, so folks that are doing air conditioning in the field don't have to go through what I was going through. So right now I can't really get much below 769. It's going through all these AC lines, and I don't know if the leak is, I mean, it's a small leak. I'm going to be happy with this, even though it's not 500, because it's getting dark and it's November, so it's going to get cold pretty soon. But what I'm getting at is, so this is in the micron level, first off. So an inch of mercury is 25,400 microns. So this unit here, I'm going to talk about this actually, but this unit here, it won't even begin to show microns until you get below 29.9 inches of mercury. And then it'll start at 25,400 and get lower and lower and lower. So basically you go 0 to approximately 30 inches of mercury, negative, so it goes negative 30, and then it switches to microns, and then you lose the negative symbol altogether. And ideally you want to get below 500, really below 250 if you could, but the problem is there's little bits of water that's impregnated in the hoses and in older sections of this truck, and every time you hit a new vacuum it cracks into steam, which expands, and we got to leave this thing on overnight. And if it was doing what it was doing before, which was tons of steam coming out of this guy here, I definitely would have done it. But I've washed this thing through with dry nitrogen. God, like I said in my other video, somewhere between half a dozen, maybe even up to 10 times. And it's got a new condenser, and all the lines have been flushed. The evaporator is new. The condenser is maybe 6 months old. And I even put a new dryer on and new pag oil. So everything is going to be crispy dry. I'd like to get below 500, but anyways, I'm starting to ramble here. So here's the thing. I had a leak, I'm guessing in the shaft seal of this thing, but I could not see it with an ultraviolet light. It wasn't leaking via pressure, but under vacuum it would leak, and I could not identify it with the leak tester. The ultraviolet was showing nothing, but I couldn't get this number. And I was just going nuts, and I made these 3/4 inch silicone coiled lines, and just left this thing on overnight, and I couldn't get below 29.9 on this gauge here. So right now I've got all these nifty valves and stuff, so I'm going to close some stuff off right now just so I could show you. So this guy here, so I'm closing one off here, and I'm closing one off here, right? So I got this ultra vacuum going on in there, and now the gauge, all the lines, these guys, this one's closed off. This is the refrigerant, so it's closed off, but these are all open, right? I'm sorry, this one is closed off. This one's open right here. This one's closed. This is the refrigerant line. These are all open. These are all capped, right? I actually disassembled these ball valves and put silicone grease and reassembled them. But this stays permanently attached to my vacuum pump. These silicone lines right here. But everything is under vacuum now. Like the ball valves are under vacuum. These are not, but the ball valves, these units, these seals, this line, this line, this line, and what do we got? 199. So I know that number of 7 something, 780 I believe, is coming from the motor. It's still cracking little bits of water out. But at this point I have to finish up. It's not a household unit, and I'm just gonna call it at that. So sorry for all the rambling. I just wanted to kind of go over. But oh yeah, okay, so we got this guy sealed, but let's see if we could identify the sound here. Like, it's nice and quiet, right? Now I'm gonna introduce a vacuum to this so you could hear. Now I'm not introducing a vacuum to the motor. This is cut off via these 2 valves there, but I am going to introduce a vacuum to this so you could hear the sound change, and you could also understand the sound difference, like when there is a micro vacuum that you can't pick up in the motor, because it was making a similar sound. So what I'm going to do, I am now going to open up this refrigerant line. No, actually I'm going to open up this right here so you could hear. I hope you could hear it. It has a hollow sound to it, and then it's starting to pump out steam. And what it's picking up moisture from the air through this little crack right there, and that's what's going on. So it's still overpowered. So now we're at inches of mercury again, 27.6. Now I'm gonna shut this. The sounds definitely different. Now we're gonna close this guy up. Boom. We're right back down to microns now, and the sound is very different. I'm gonna open it up again. I'm gonna represent a little microfine leak in the shaft seal of your AC compressor right now to hear the difference in sound. And that little leak would not make itself known under pressure, nitrogen or refrigerant. All right, so I hope you folks using this piece understand how important it is to recognize the different sounds that this thing makes. And that was the point of this really super long video. All right, thanks for watching.